Let's talk about let's move on to what's happening in the United States, because we got this story. I don't know how to feel about this. This is let me read the title. The Guardian: 1 dead and 5 wounded in Portland shooting during protest in park. Authorities describe confrontation in Normandale Park between a homeowner and participants in police violence protest. Now, I don't know how to feel about it, because the conflict itself, the fighting, the shooting, of course, is just outright bad. Mm-hmm. Regular people defying Antifa far leftists and saying, get out of my neighborhood, is people waking up to the crisis and refusing refusing and rejecting it. But it leads to this. And this is what's scary, because we don't want shooters on our streets. The people who they post stuff, there's that joke, F around and find out. And I'm like, man, you really don't want to find out, no matter who you are. You might wear the shirt, you might wear the hat. We have a joke shirt that says step on snack and find out. The reality is, I assure you, you don't want to find out. The people who think that, they would get into a conflict and have a good time of it, you don't want to be worried about your kids, because you might think you're tough, you might think you're brave, but what about when it's your kid who's at home and these people are fighting in the streets? So stories like this, man, I like the idea that regular people are saying no to the far left. I don't like the idea that it's resulting in this, but I feel like this may be inevitable. So here's the story, just to give you a quick summary. These Antifa far leftists, they're doing their marches as they normally do. They were armed, reportedly, according to them and some other witnesses posed, but I don't trust them. So what they said was, this guy comes up to him screaming at him, saying they're terrorists and they're the cause of all the violence, and that if they go near his house, he will shoot them. And then abruptly fired, shooting 6 people. 1 of them died, 5 are injured, and then they critically injured him. They then go on to claim to the press they were unarmed, yet this guy's critically wounded. They claim that he just attacked them. I don't believe any of it. If I were to make my assessment based off what I know about the far left extremists, these Antifa types, I'd say that, look, there's a video of these guys pulling a guy out of his truck and beating him. They were armed with rifles. They were blocking an intersection. The guy was honking at him, said, get out of the way. Apparently, the guy saw their guns, showed him that he was strapped. They pointed weapons at him. He said, tried. He pulled his gun, pointed at them. Then they grabbed him and started beating him. How much you want to bet something similar happened this time? The only thing is, this time the guy was like, I ain't playing any games. And that woman is dead. And this guy might die as well. So this kind of stuff gets scary, man. But I don't know what your thoughts on this are, Larry, because you mentioned you read Stephen Marsh's book on Civil War. What do you think about this? Where do you think this is all going?
If we don't create someone who will step up and say, look, what you just said, right? Your thought process is exactly correct. We need people to think how you're thinking. I don't want to F around and find out, right? I don't want to find out. And it's an example of someone who did, and it hurt everybody. Like, nobody won in this, right? A bunch of people went to the hospital. Somebody died. This is lose-lose. Someone's got to step up and go, wait a minute. Okay, I get you're mad. Let's talk this damn thing out. And that's an important piece. And I hope we begin to do that. And the only way we do that is by having someone, like what you're talking about, say, hey, can we not fight? Can we not do that? If I was the mayor of the town, and I've got Antifa out or BLM out or January 6 people, whatever I got, or I'm Trudeau and I got truckers, I don't walk away. I literally go there. I physically go there and say, I hear you. You got an issue or a problem or concern. I'm going to give you a time and a place where we can talk about this, and let's try to make this happen. You start doing that more and more over time. The damage has been done for so long. It isn't fixed by one guy doing one thing. It needs multiple people doing this often. This should be the norm. We should make protest, anger, when they do it, we respond with, okay, what's wrong, versus I will hammer you. When you respond with I will hammer you, they become desperate. Yeah. Desperate people do desperate things. It's just human nature. What did Jefferson say? I'm going to get it wrong. When peaceful protest is impossible, violent revolution is inevitable. Did I get that right?
Was it Kennedy?
I thought that was Jefferson.
Those who make peaceful revolution impossible make violent revolution inevitable.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you for doing it right. Yes.
Yeah. But yes. I don't know. Yes. Look up who said it, because we'll make sure.
But so I want to make it possible.
Kennedy.
I want to go out of my way. I want to make it possible. And executives have to do this. It must be mayors, governors, county executives. As a nation, we don't pay attention to congressmen or senators. We don't. We only pay attention to executives. They have to be the ones doing this.
But I don't want to now bring up the pessimism here. But when we were talking with Stephen, the point I made he said something similar. It's like, when will you and your country realize you're tearing each other apart? You need to come together. And I said to him, you're Canadian, right? And he says, yes. I'm like, you like your socialized healthcare. And he said, right. I said, okay, abolish it, go full private free market, and we got peace. And he said, point taken.
Right.
He's like, I won't give that up ever for anything.
Right.
And so for me, these individuals, for instance, these Antifa types, they are consistently violent. They are consistently extreme, and they are of the political faction that, for instance, in California, tried to repeal their civil rights legislation from their own constitution, and they nearly succeeded in doing so. When that comes up, I just got to say, I'm sorry. There's no circumstance in which I negotiate with that person and say, we'll take away some of the civil rights protection. It's not going to happen.
I felt like they didn't exist until 2016, Antifa. I never even heard of it until 2015, 16.
They did. They were at Occupy Wall Street. We just called it, the black bloc element.
It seems like it's a response to Hillary Clinton's DNC screwing over Bernie Sanders and ripping any hope from that party, and then the Federal Reserve printing insane amounts of money and devaluing the currency. These people have no hope. And now they're out there with COVID lockdowns, smashing stuff up because they can finally be outside. But if we focus on the problems like that, I think that we can quell the violence and calm people down.
You're right, Ian. What happens with these people is they're despondent, dejected, they're angry, they feel there's no path forward. And then along comes a demagogue who says, your answer is communism. They adopt it. And then we now have an expansive force of people who have identified the problem. Even they've identified a certain thing as the problem. That's not really their problem. They unfortunately will often side with the very establishment that has caused them these problems and led them down this path. Like you mentioned, Hillary Clinton and all that stuff. Yeah, they'll come out and be like, we hate the Democrats. And then you'll get someone like ContraPoints, for instance, saying, but you have to vote for Joe Biden. I'm like, look, my thought on Donald Trump for 2020 was, I can choose the ivory tower elites who gutted this country or the bull rampaging through the ivory tower. I'll take the bull. Let them run around and kick some stuff over for once, and otherwise we go back to square one.
Yeah, but you brought up a very valid point here. People always think, how bad does it have to get before people revolt? There's no answer to that, because people will stay in horrible situations forever. It's a phenomenon called learned helplessness. What they require is hope, was what you just said. And some demagogue gives hope, right? And the best example I can give you is Russia, 1917. Peasants forever, 300 years, no real revolts. I mean, here or there, some sporadic revolts, but no real revolts for 300 years. Here comes Lenin. Hey, how about this communism thing? And all they knew was, well, it can't be worse than this, right?
Right.
Sadly, they were wrong, it was. But they didn't know that. They had hope. And the hope was, this guy, he's telling us something. It's not what we got now. We know what we got now sucks. And we've been sitting here for 300 years. Okay, let's try this communism thing. And it was basically the same thing for them. Different name, though. Yeah. And nicer flags. So there was some benefit, I guess, to it. But that's about it.
Maybe some emotional satisfaction.
There was some of that, sure. Absolutely. So you get that. I think it happens here, too. And if two sides are fighting, there has to be some hope. And that's the third party thing. The reason why I think, and I am blatantly biased, I know I'm biased, the Libertarian Party, I think the Liberty Movement is the answer, because it's the only movement where you don't have to convert. You can be as liberal or as conservative as you want to be. Just don't force your view on others. You want to have a commune? Good. Have your commune over there. Just make sure government isn't paying for it. We'll make government smaller. Do your commune and you'll be fine. You want to have more free market? We can have that too. We can have all of those things if we change the environment. Right now, we can't change the environment. The reason why people get so angry is because they realize this. If the other guy wins, he or she will enforce their will upon me, which means I must take the lesser of two evils.
But, some of these people are authoritarians.
Yes.
So,
but the people aren't authoritarians.
I don't
The
agree.
leadership are. What people want is someone who will save them or make them feel better, make their lives better, solve their problems. Now, you might say to yourself, but Larry, they're voting for, authoritarians. People don't want freedom. I don't mean to be cruel. People want happiness. People want happiness, not freedom. If they believe freedom will get them happiness, they'll vote for freedom. If they think some dictator will get them happiness, they'll vote for a dictator. They will vote for whatever they believe will get them happiness. Our job in the Liberty Movement is to show them that freedom is the answer, so they vote for it.
I completely agree. But I do think there are authoritarians who enjoy being authoritarian.
True also.
And you know, man, this story I told before, we got a funny update on it, and it's a good example. When I went to a sushi restaurant with my girlfriend, and we walk in, it's very small. The sushi restaurant is maybe like 30 feet by 30 feet, maybe. Everyone's sitting down. No one's wearing a mask, but there's a mask mandate. So we walk in.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy grabs a couple of menus, and he goes, "You need to wear masks." And then I went, "Oh, nobody's wearing any masks." And he was like, "Oh, but you have to wear it." And I was like, I don't understand. Like, nobody's wearing masks. I was like, "Well, they're sitting down and eating." And I said, "Okay." The table was literally about 6-7 feet in front of us. I was like, "We'll sit right there and then we'll eat." And he goes, "Okay, but if you get up, you have to wear a mask." So I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." He hands me and my girlfriend a mask, and I say, "Okay." We're literally 3 seconds from sitting down when a person at the counter goes, "Put the mask on." And I was like, "I'm just going to sit down literally right here." It's a couple. And they were like, "No, put the mask on." And I said, "Are you serious?" And all of the staff simultaneously went, "Yes." Here's the funny thing about it. We got an update. This mask mandate was in Frederick County, and it went into effect, I believe, just after New Year's in January. Now they've rescinded the mask mandate abruptly about a month later. Why?
Yeah.
Oh, well, cases are down. In a month? What? You enact it and then repeal it like instantly. The people there just do as they're told. They have no interest in thinking about the problem, thinking about the policy, or thinking about how psychotic it was they were doing this. The only thing in their mind was whether they like it or not was adhere to the authority or get out. And so we did. So when you have, I feel like the culture war and the crisis we're facing is, you know, types like Antifa, for instance, that are willing to go around with rifles and tell people you can't drive down this road anymore, chanting "Whose streets? Our streets," forcing people off of public property. They want to use power against other people. I don't. I'd kind of like to mind my own business, which is why we're in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of chickens.
Yes.
Get away from everybody else. Leave me alone, right? So I love the liberty movement stuff, but I do feel like, you know, the question that came up with Stephen was, these people won't. They want to rule over you. They want to. And so if you take the approach of, if only you just left me alone, they'll say, "I will," and then they'll still try to impose their will on you. I suppose the quote is, "When I am weak, I ask you for freedom because that is according to your principles. When I am strong, I deny you freedom because that's according to mine." And that's what we fear with these types of groups.
Yeah, what I would argue is, I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask, like, what is the libertarian approach to a mob that is equally authoritarian and unreasonable?
Yep.
Like, what's the approach to that?
So let me cover two pieces if I could. The first one is, I think what people want more than anything, this is universal, is purpose.
Agreed.
Purpose is
Absolutely.
critical.
Yeah.
So when I don't have purpose, when I feel without power, when I feel like I don't have anything to do, and all of a sudden the government says, your purpose is to make sure people wear marshmallows on their heads. You will go out of your way to make sure people are wearing marshmallows on their head. You won't care why. You won't care what they're doing. Just, I have purpose and I have power. I'm going to make sure you put marshmallows on your head. So I think that's the real issue. If we give them other forms of purpose, they'll go there. People want to feel useful. People want to feel important. People want to feel empowered. People want purpose. The problem is we've shut people down for 2 years, sucked away their purpose for 2 years, and the only thing they have is marching in the streets. I mean, there weren't this many activists before COVID. Why? They had to be at work at 9 o'clock in the morning. That was their purpose.
Right.
Well, now you don't got to go to work anymore. What am I doing? Oh, Janie's yelling about Antifa. What's Antifa? I don't know. Let's go. Yeah. And they're doing it, right? Oh, we get to have guns? Oh, my God. Now we're all powerful. So, again, there are leaders, but the perfect storm was shutting everything down and creating a bunch of young men, particularly, but also young women, who had no purpose. So they will go do whatever's required. My goal is to create more purpose for more people. Less of them will be in the streets. Less of them will be trying to impose their will because they'll have other things to do. That's the thing. I'm never going to stop the authoritarian. Can I lessen them? Yes. Can I make their recruitment a whole lot harder? Yes. Bad people are bad people, but they're nothing without armies. So if I shut their recruitment down, I make everything better.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about. So you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.